The year is 1898, and on the verge of bankruptcy, a French banker named Gerard contacted a woman with whom he had invested all his fortune, begging for some of the money he was owed. When wealthy socialite Therese Humbert refused, Gerard put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger in utter despair. Gerard's death marked the beginning of the end for Humbert's 20-year career of swindling the French elite. Our story begins in 1856 with a girl named Therese Durignans. Born to a peasant family in Toulouse, France, life for the young girl was incredibly difficult. She was the eldest child in a poor family, a stocky, bright-eyed little girl, not particularly good-looking, with nothing special about her whatsoever. Her father, on the other hand, was very peculiar and spent his days studying alchemy and ranting about ancestry and hidden inheritances. Neighbors often spotted him in the fields during thunderstorms with a magic wand as he Therese got her ideas from her father, who warded off would-be creditors by showing them a locked chest that he claimed had legal documents to prove he was wealthy. Humbert pulled off her first scam when she married her cousin, Frederick Humbert, the son of the mayor. Guys, I know what you're thinking, but back then it was very appropriate to marry your cousin, especially when your cousin was the son of the mayor. I mean, a lot of people married their cousin, Albert Einstein, Queen Victoria, even Charles Darwin. Therese met Frederick while working in his family home as a laundrymaid, and soon wooed him of tales of the castle which he had supposedly inherited from her dead mother's ex-lover. While at first Frederick was deceived by her lies, he quickly learned the truth and became an accomplice, using the very same name of the castle Therese had told him she had inherited as collateral to secure a bank loan, which allowed the Humberts to move into a castle of their own. However, this was just the beginning. Her master scam occurred when, according to her, in 1879, while boarding a train, she discovered that a man in the adjacent compartment was having a heart attack. Therese quickly rushed over to the man and used his smelling salts to revive him. After being revived, the man revealed himself to be Robert Henry Crawford. After thanking Therese several times, he told her that he would forever be in her debt. Just 2 years later, Therese received an unexpected letter from Crawford, which detailed that she would be the sole beneficiary of his family's fortune. The will also stated that the fortune should remain in a safe until Therese's younger sister, Mary, was old enough to marry one of the Crawford's nephews. Therese kept the documents in a lockbox in one of a handful of Parisian apartments, along with 3 other specific wills that detailed some oddly specific requirement, which all coincidentally happened to leave Therese with an enormous fortune. With this information, Therese approached her banks, insisting that if they would just lend her 6 million francs, she would remove the Crawford nephews out from the will, inherit millions of francs, and pay it all back with considerable interest, which was absurd. The Humberts also borrowed money from their rich friends using these loans as collateral. In total, the Humberts borrowed 50 million francs on the promise of their mysterious fortune. Dissatisfied with her sizable funds appropriated, in 1893, they launched a fraudulent insurance company, which targeted small businesses with the promise of large returns on small investment. Therese and Frederick went off to squander more than 40 million francs by paying old investors with the money acquired from the new investors, essentially running a giant pyramid scheme. After the death of Gerard, French investors and creditors began looking into the Humberts' financial affairs. After realizing that even with the significant inheritance, it still would not be sufficient enough to pay them all, they soon joined forces, demanding that the safe be opened at once. When her web of lies came into question, Therese had her 2 brothers impersonate the 2 Crawford nephews, both with terrible American accents, in an actual court of law. The ruse finally collapsed there when one fed-up lawyer asked where the Crawford brothers lived, and Therese replied 1320 Broadway Street. I kid you not, 1230 Broadway Street. At this point, it was clear that Therese was in fact lying about everything, including the inheritance which she had supposedly received. While the trial was still ongoing, Therese and her husband fled to Spain, and the elusive lockbox was seized by the state prosecutor and opened in front of 100,000 people. When the lockbox was finally opened, it revealed nothing more but an old newspaper, an Italian coin, and one trouser button. Needless to say, the Hubbards were arrested and sentenced to 5 years solitary confinement with hard labor. The now 52-year-old Therese was released from prison in 1908, and her husband was released that same year. The two promptly disappeared from history as if, like the inheritance, had never happened in the first place.